Hi, this is Kevin from Pixavert.com. In this video, I'm going to be installing GIMP 2.82. As you can see, I'm working in Windows 8, so I've already installed GIMP 2.82, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to reinstall it and just go through the installation process and do a very quick review as well. 2.82 came out just a couple of weeks ago, and it has a number of improvements over GIMP 2.80, which had some serious bugs if you're using it in Windows. I want to choose the customized version. You don't need to. You can actually just go and install it straight, but we'll just look at the customized options. The main thing here is that you can choose the compact installation, which installs just the GIMP, or the full installation, or any kind of combination you want. I would recommend either the full installation, or you can switch off the translations if you don't need them. All this stuff will help GIMP plugins and other things. This stuff does help GIMP's functionality, so I'd recommend keeping it there, maybe switching off the translations if you don't really need them. Now, I would also recommend, if you're working on Windows, installing GIMP on the C drive. That seems to minimize problems with plugins. I'm working on the release preview version of Windows 8, but I suspect the final version of Windows 8 is going to work very similarly to this. It might look different, but I think functionality-wise it should be quite similar. So we've finished our installation, and let's open up GIMP. Now, when you first open your GIMP, it's going to look something like this. You're going to have these different windows lying around. And that's basically the multi-window mode. As you can see, sometimes the windows open up on a different monitor. What I'm going to do is, first of all, there's a thing in Windows 8 where if you move something to the edge of the screen, it kind of snaps to the edge of the screen, but it does this weird thing where it not only snaps, but it changes size as well. Let me see if I can get that to happen. There we are. It's not really intuitive, and Windows just keeps resizing everything quite irritatingly. But I would recommend working in the single window mode, which makes things a lot easier. You can still take different dialogues, like I could take the brushes dialog and open that up, and you can sort of like move this to another monitor if you want to. You can, it's still very flexible even when you're working in single window mode. I'll definitely recommend using the hide docs feature. Let me just open up a document, and when you're working on a large document, you want to get rid of these dialogues. Just hit the tab key and they disappear. Now, one question that I was asked was, how do I get the minimize and maximize button? Most GIMP windows actually look something like this. You have just got the close button there, and the way to get the normal Windows window, or the normal Windows dialog, is to go to the preferences and then choose window management. Usually this is set to utility window, and that gives you this kind of window. When you choose normal window, you'll get the minimize and maximize buttons as well. This can really help your workflow. So that's how you do that, and you'll need to restart GIMP once you've changed that setting. Another thing that can really help your workflow is an improvement which comes in 2.82, which is, or it's not really an improvement, it's a feature. You can now overwrite your images, so you can open up your JPEGs, do a little bit of editing, close it, and done. There are a lot of bug fixes in 2.82. The main one is the performance issue. There was a really severe problem with lag, and sometimes when you're working in GIMP 2.80, if you were working with a large image, it would kind of break up, even as it's doing here. Now, that still happens, but it's really been improved. So now it's a question of whether or not you can work with GIMP, rather than, oh my God, this is so horrible, I can't work with this. At the moment, I'm going to stick with 2.6. But I'm going to watch developments, and if the performance does improve a lot, I will definitely move over to 2.8. But as you can see, if you're doing really detailed work and you're zoomed in, the image will break up. It's not going to cause severe lagging problems as you had with 2.80, but you will get this kind of distracting, stuff going on at the edges, and you might not want that. So what you can do is stick with 2.6 and just basically keep an eye out on videos on YouTube and just see how things are progressing with the different updates as they come along. Or alternatively, if you're totally geeky minded, you can, put up a Linux partition. GIMP works very well in Ubuntu. I tried it in using version 2.8 in Ubuntu, and it does work very well there. Now, one thing I will point out is that I did try GIMP on a very powerful Windows system, Windows 7, with a really powerful processor and lots of memory, and you still do get this issue with the breakup. So it seems to be something to do with the software, and hopefully there will be a fix for that sometime soon. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was plugins and backing up GIMP. So this is a question that gets asked quite a lot. How do I install plugins? You install plugins in the GIMP folder. In Windows XP, you go to Documents and Settings, and usually in your account you'll find a GIMP folder, which has got the same name as this folder here. If you're in Windows 7 or Windows 8, you go down to Users, then you find your user account, then you find the GIMP folder. And the GIMP folder is where it all happens. So when you open that, you will find two folders that hold plugins. Most plugins will go in the scripts folder, and some will go in the plugins folder. That's basically what you do. You just basically copy and paste the file in one of these folders, and it should work okay. Sometimes with some of the more sophisticated plugins, you do actually have to double click on the exe file. Another thing is, if you want to do a backup of GIMP, sometimes people talk about doing a backup of their GIMP installation. I find backing up this directory here, basically that will give you quite a lot of assurance that you'll be able to get your old GIMP back if you do something that totally screws it up in future. So you just make a backup of this folder. When your GIMP is working fine, all your brushes will be there. You're going to have your gradients. It's kind of like a safety jacket. You don't want to use it, but if you do have to use it, it's there. And that's basically installing plugins and backing up GIMP. Now, the other thing is, if you want to ask questions, you can ask questions in the comments. I do try to answer questions that are left in the comments. Sometimes I can't answer them all. You can send me a private message on YouTube if you've got a YouTube account. I do try to answer most of the queries that come my way. Or you can email me, and the email is there if you want to copy that down. So, yeah, hopefully you're having lots of fun with GIMP 2.8. Like I say, the improvements are coming through. It is fairly buggy still. There are still a few bugs, but hopefully those will improve over time. That's it for the time being. Thanks for watching.